Hello there, welcome to another episode of the Allotment Dram. This is a series of short videos where we sit and talk about different whiskies in the surroundings of our North London allotment. Join me here today on a lovely sort of clear blue sky, cold, crisp sort of day, almost the shortest day actually. One more day to go until it's the shortest daylight hours here in the UK. But yeah, certainly not as cold as it has been. We've experienced some pretty cold temperatures for London the last sort of 10 days or so, barely above freezing, even a bit of snow, lots of ice and snow. But yeah, while that's all very interesting, I'm sure you didn't tune in to hear about the weather report in North London. Of course you're here to listen about whiskey and learn something, hopefully. What's the Allotment Dram today, I hear you ask? Well, it's another new product, a very exciting one actually, something slightly quirky. It's the Smokehead Terminado. So what is this? This is the latest in a reasonable line of different cask finishes that the Islay single malt brand of Smokehead have come out with. And this one is actually being finished in old tequila casks. So there's certainly not many whiskies, Scotch whiskies, or any whiskies actually, matured in tequila or mezcal casks. So you probably count them on one hand, to be honest. So this is very exciting. It came out maybe a month or so ago. We're very fortunate to have picked our bottle up. It's bottled at 43%. And we'll just taste that in a minute. But what can I tell you about Smokehead? Well, as I said before, Smokehead is a Islay single malt brand. It's owned by Ian McLeod Distillers. But of course, there isn't of all the distilleries on the famous whisky island of Islay, the bottom of the Hebridean chain, there isn't a distillery called Smokehead. So what's happened here is Ian McLeod Distillers have purchased the single malt from one of those distilleries on Islay, and of course what happens is everyone tries to guess which one it is. It's human nature. But they buy it from the distillery, and then of course they mature it how they want. And in the case of this, they've switched it into the old tequila casks, but before this there's been very nice rum cask finish, and also an imperial stout beer cask finish. So quite quirky, quite experimental, and kind of pushing the smoky whiskey genre in different directions. So we quite like that actually. So I think without further ado we should maybe have a taste of this. So I've certainly not tried many tequila or mezcal cask whiskies. As I said, there's not that many around. Quite like the packaging as well. It's quite funky sort of packaging, and as you can see, I've not opened this yet, so I don't know what it's going to taste like. I'm doing this just for you, and yeah, fingers crossed, eh? This is always the beauty or the fear when you open a new bottle and you never quite know what's inside. So 43%. We're expecting, all the other Smokeheads are very smoky, very peaty, so we're expecting that, but really what the tequila cask has brought, who knows. So let's go. Nice colour, very vibrant golden colour there, as you can see. So, wow, okay, you're very smoky, very peaty. It's almost the same colour as my jumper, I've just noticed actually. But yeah, very peaty. This sort of medicinal, slightly acrid. Yes, you've got a bit of sort of ashiness, a bit of like damp or drying seaweed, sort of mossy, earthy, bit of sort of iodine, something like that in there. Someone's just started like with one of those sort of leaf blower things. Seems like the most pointless thing to me. You just blow leaves from one place to the other, whereas you could actually just rake them up and put them somewhere, like compost or somewhere. whereas you just blow them to some, like into the neighbour's house or something. But anyway, I digress. What else is here? Well, we've got definitely some honey, sugary sort of syrup, maybe golden syrup even, and there's something quite vegetal in there. As I said before, we had the seaweed, but there's something more. There's something a little bit more sort of caney, sort of earthy in there, slightly bitter vegetal notes. Let's have a taste. It's a little bit cold, so it might take some time, a bit more expressive when it's warm, but it's still quite expressive, I have to say. You've got all that peat up front, that heavy sort of peat smoke. There's no getting away from that. But there's quite a sort of confected sweetness here, and we're talking like sort of candied fruits, caramelized tropical fruits, so like a caramelized pineapple. You know, if you put a pineapple on a griddle pan or a barbecue, and you just kind of get that sort of caramelization on the skin, on the flesh, a slightly sort of burnt sugary note, a bit of toffee, also something quite unusual like marshmallow or meringue. And we're not talking like those very hard meringues, but the soft sort of squishy one that you have in, you know, something like a pavlova, where it's kind of soft and gooey in the middle. So something like that. But let's have another taste. Now the sweetness, this sort of confected sweetness, sits really well with the heavy smoke. It kind of sort of rounding off some of the slightly harsher, more acrid medicinal notes that you get with whiskies of this nature. But that must come from the tequila cask. You know, obviously bourbon or sherry casks, you know what you get from there. But here you've got this very confected sweetness, say like marshmallow, that gooey meringue, caramelized pineapple. There's a bit of candied orange in there as well, a bit of candied lime in there, I think. And then there's this sort of sugary, syrupy note, toffee, butterscotch maybe, or honey, or maybe the suggestion because it's tequila cask, but you know, maybe there's a bit of like agave syrup or something in there. It's that sweet sort of sugary sort of nature. But yeah, very, very nice. And another, say, we love what Smokehead are doing, because they experimenting with all these slightly unorthodox casks and pushing their whiskey, you know, rather than just settling for quite a sort of steady core range. They're pushing this out, and this is limited edition, so you have to forgive me, I've forgotten the price of it off the top of my head, but type in Smokehead Terminado Tequila Cask and it will come up, you know, most of the big retailers. So if you like the sound of that, definitely grab a bottle. It's something very, 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 very good indeed. Really enjoyed that. Yeah, didn't know what I was going to get, but very pleased. So I think without further ado, I'll probably leave you to get on. I'm going to finish off here and sort of wrap up for my walk home, but we'll say goodbye. I'd also like to take this opportunity to my neighbour just up the hill here, old George. He sadly passed away, I heard a couple of weeks ago, so I'd like to raise this glass to him. You know, he's a lovely old chap, and you know, really can't, you know, he helped me a lot with what to do here on the allotment as well. So I'd like to raise this glass to him and thank you guys for watching, and we'll hopefully see you again very soon for another Allotment Dram. Cheers, George.